Hey everybody, welcome back to the SuperBake podcast. I'm your host, Baker. Let's talk about stuff. So, I saw an article a couple days ago about Ubisoft, the developers of the Assassin's Creed series. Apparently, there's been talks of a couple different companies that are wanting to acquire them. Some acquisition discussions that have been going on. So two of the names that popped up was Blackstone Inc., which one of my buddies told me about. I think he said they're one of those companies that they're like one of the 5 companies in the world that owns everything. But they were one, and then the other one was KKR and Co. So those were 2 companies that I read about that want to, or apparently are in talks to potentially acquire Ubisoft. As of right now, I don't think anything's been determined, so we'll kind of see how that plays out. I talked about this in a previous podcast about how there's a trend going on right now where it seems like a lot of big companies are trying to buy out smaller ones. And it seems like it just keeps going. I'm curious to see if this does happen, how this would impact Ubisoft's gaming library, like the Assassin's Creed series. I mean, if I had to guess, I would say that they'd probably be able to just proceed as usual, probably just as their own division as part of those companies. But I'm definitely going to keep an eye on this for sure. I mean, I'm not a gigantic Ubisoft fan, but I'm definitely curious to see where this goes. But yeah, that's it's interesting. It's continuing the trend of smaller companies getting bought out by larger companies. And on that note, that's going to be kind of the theme for today's podcast. So kind of the 2 big topics I wanted to discuss quickly were the story about Elon Musk buying Twitter. So apparently earlier this week, it was officially announced that Elon Musk has agreed to buy the Twitter platform or company for around $44 billion. I saw that when this does finally go into effect, which I don't know when that's supposed to happen, they said that the stockholders will receive $54.20 in cash for each share of Twitter common stock. Again, I haven't followed this super closely, so I don't know when exactly this is going to go in place, but that's crazy to me. I remember, I think it was a while back, a couple weeks ago, I think when Elon Musk, he bought he became the majority shareholder of the company. I don't remember how many shares he bought, and then he wanted to buy them, and I think they enacted kind of a poison pill, which I think devalued their stock, but I think that was in the hopes to try to, I guess, deter him from buying them out, but I guess that didn't really work. So now they've reached an agreement. So I only really use Twitter for my podcast to post on there, so I'm not a huge Twitter follower, and I really only got back into it once I started the podcast. So before that, I really wasn't on there very much. I had another account, and but I never really posted on there, and I barely ever checked it, so I really wasn't, I didn't really jump in on the whole Twitter thing for a long time. And even now, I really only post on there for my podcast, when I do updates or post new episodes. So, but I'm definitely going to follow this for sure and kind of see how this pans out. One thing I'm interested to know is if Twitter's going to be a privately held company, I wonder how it's going to change, or if it is going to change significantly. I know Musk said, I think in an interview that I'm not going to go too much into this, but I know he said he wants to try to change Twitter to make it safer for people to voice their ideas and their opinions without fear of being censored. I mean, whether or not he actually carries that out, I don't know. I mean, I don't follow Elon Musk too much, so I mean, I don't have a negative opinion of the guy or anything like that. I mean, he's one of the richest people in the world. I mean, from the interviews I've seen of him, he seems fine, I guess. I don't really have much of an opinion on him one way or the other. I know him and his wife had that kid where they gave him that weird name, so I don't know. But when this first started happening, this really did seem like a weird article that you would read on The Onion or something like that. It's Elon Musk buying Twitter. It's something that I never really thought would happen. And I know, I think Jeff Bezos was talking shit on Musk a couple days ago. I thought I saw somewhere on Twitter, Bezos was kind of bitching about it and said he was kind of throwing shade at him. And I don't remember what the details of it were, but It's like, yeah, those two guys, I feel like they go back and forth constantly. Just these two billionaires at each other's throats trying to outdo each other all the time. But, I mean, I know some people who are kind of freaking out over this because they're afraid that Musk is going to ruin Twitter. I mean, I don't really care one way or the other. I feel like it's probably going to change a little bit, but I would say overall, I can't picture it changing too drastically. I'm sure it's not going to change enough that's going to impact me. I'm still going to just post about my podcast episode updates. So, but one thing that I'm curious about, since I brought up Jeff Bezos, I'm curious to know, like, if Bezos is going to try to do something similar. I'm trying to think of what he could buy. I guess like maybe TikTok. I don't think Facebook would be on the table, but I could see him definitely trying to go for something similar to Twitter, like trying to buy another big social media platform just to stick it to Musk's face. But yeah, and I know I'm kind of curious to see what kind of precedent this is going to set too, where kind of going back to the whole thing where with Blackstone trying to buy Ubisoft, it's like I keep seeing these trends of these big companies buying smaller companies, although Twitter's not a small company, but Elon Musk is a billionaire. I mean, his net worth is like, I don't remember how much it is, like over $100 billion. So I'm just curious to see like what kind of precedent this is going to set, and if we're going to see this occur more and more down the road, which I'm willing to bet we were. If history is any guide, I'm sure we will. I guess I'm not worried, but I'm definitely what's the opposite of cautiously optimistic? I am hopelessly negative. No, not hopelessly negative. I am uncautiously negative. No, I don't know. I'm just talking shit. I'm just talking out of my ass here. It's what I do on this podcast, after all. And then, but yeah, I mean, it's interesting. And in some ways, I guess I kind of saw this coming. I mean, I figured Musk was already trying to get Twitter anyway, so I figured it was just a matter of time. I mean, let's just face it. There's a price tag on everything. Everything is for sale. Everything's negotiable. It's just a simple matter of how much, And I'm pretty much convinced anymore, like, if you've got enough money, you can get away with just about anything these days. It's like the biggest tech companies out there, who would say that they'd never sell to anybody. It's like, you offer them a big enough paycheck, I'm willing to bet they would do it. Or at the very least, I'm willing to bet they would consider it. So, but it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, that's for sure. And then the next topic that I had was, saw that as of recording this podcast, Netflix has reported that they lost 200,000 subscribers in the first quarter of 2022, which is definitely insane to think about. I'll kind of go into that in a little bit more detail as far as like my feelings towards Netflix. But yeah, they said they lost over $50 billion in their market cap, and it was down 62.5% year to date was, I think, how much their stock went down. And they said that this was the worst. It was the worst performing stock in the S&P 500 of 2022, at least as of right now. So, yeah, I mean, there's a few reasons why it's happening. At least, everybody has their theories, but I mean, obviously, it's the biggest reasons, of course, is that at least I think the reason why is because there's three main reasons really. One, they announced that they're considering charging extra for password sharing. They're trying to crack down on that. Now, I don't know if that's actually gone into effect yet. I think as of right now, the executives at Netflix are just talking about it. So who knows if it's actually going to happen. I hope. I mean, I think they'd be fools to go through with it now, considering how much money they just lost and the public outcry against this. I feel like that would be kind of a bad move for them to go through with it at this point, but I guess we'll see what they do. The other reason is, of course, they increased their price again. I think it went up to like 15 something. I want to say it's like $15.79. I'd have to double check on that, but it's some weird like specific number. I know that they said that they did announce that they were going to try to combat that with a lower priced ad supported tier. And I think it was like around $8 or something like that. If you got that. So basically it would just be same exact service, same access to the shows and everything, but just you'd have ads running, kind of like if you get like the lowest tier of Hulu, which is what I use. I mean, I think the fact that they put that in place, they must have obviously known that people were going to get pissed off when they raised the price again. But they've been raising their price every few years for the last, it seems like, decade. So, and then of course, I think the other biggest one, which I've heard a lot of people will complain about with Netflix, is just the fact that the content they have on there is just, it's definitely going downhill. I mean, there's definitely some quality shows on Netflix. Like I watch Better Call Saul. Arcane's on there, which I plan on watching that show and maybe doing a review of that for the podcast too at some point in the future. Not really sure when exactly yet. But yeah, it just seems like they definitely seem like a flash in the pan company now. Like that seems like the direction they're moving in, where it seems like they don't really produce or create shows with longevity in mind, but rather they just do it to see what sticks. They throw everything against the wall and kind of see what sticks, and they kind of run with that for a while. Some of their other shows like Stranger Things, I like season 1. Season 2 is okay. I wasn't crazy about season 3, and to be honest, I'm not super excited about season 4. I really do feel like that was another one of those flash in the pan type shows that, I don't know, maybe it should have ended with the first season. Supposedly they said that it was supposed to be an anthology series and that each season was going to be its own separate story, but apparently I guess the characters of season 1 were so popular that they wanted to keep it going, which, again, that's a pretty standard business model. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But yeah, I mean, I'll probably check out season 4 when that comes out, I think later this year, but I'm not super excited in it. I guess we'll just have to see. And of course, Better Call Saul, like I said, that's also on AMC. I'm kind of surprised that it's even still on Netflix, to be honest. I did finish watching the Hunter x Hunter anime that's on Netflix, but that's not an exclusive there, and it's on Crunchyroll too, I believe. Yeah, the only real exclusive show on there that I need to watch, of course, is Arcane. I do love the Castlevania series. I think that series is awesome. And I know that they're supposed to do a spin-off series, but I saw an article that said that they are actually cutting their animation budget pretty significantly, and they actually canceled a couple projects. One of which I read was, I didn't even know this was happening, an animated show about the Bone comic book. I remember I borrowed that book from like one of my friends, years and years ago, and I absolutely loved it. And I didn't even know that there were talks for a show, so that caught me by surprise. But apparently now that's not even happening. So that's definitely depressing for sure. But yeah, I think I would agree with what people have said about Netflix. It just seems like the content they have on there has just gone really downhill lately. And not only that, but there's a lot more competition out there. You have Disney Plus, you have Hulu, you have Amazon Prime, which I'm actually considering that one because, one, you get the free next day delivery with the shipping service with Prime, and then you also, of course, get the streaming service too. I know you can do just the streaming with Prime, and I think it's like $8 a month. I'm not sure. I haven't priced it too much, but I think it's right around the $8 mark, $8 or $9. But you got that, of course, you got Paramount Plus, which is starting to get traction. You got Peacock, and then, of course, HBO Max, which is still, pretty much a top contender. HBO's been around for, God, fucking as long as I've been alive, practically, and they're still kicking ass, and they've got a lot of content on their side, too. So, and I thought I saw somewhere that, was it Amazon? I thought I saw it was either Amazon or HBO. I'd have to double check on that. But I thought I saw one of those two streaming services. They actually bought, like, or they got the rights to a lot of MGM movies. I'm going to check that out real quick. MGM acquisition. Yep. Amazon closes MGM acquisition, an $8.5 billion deal. So now they get like access to MGM films. So that's going to expand their library significantly. So, I mean, Amazon, they're just killing it. There's a reason they're a fucking giant. So, I mean, I get it for sure. But yeah, I think Amazon Prime is definitely one that I'm leaning towards pretty heavily. I haven't gotten it yet, believe it or not. But, I mean, as far as like if I'm going to cancel my Netflix subscription, I mean, as of right now, probably not. Not in the near future, but maybe somewhere down the road I might do it. I have Hulu. I really enjoy Hulu. I did do the Disney Plus bundle. I am thinking about I kind of canceled that, but I am thinking about getting back on that. I want to rewatch the Marvel movies. Something that I'm interested in doing for the podcast as well is maybe like rewatching some of the old Marvel movies and maybe doing like a review of like the MCU from like Iron Man all the way to Endgame. Maybe like a review of either each movie or maybe potentially just doing a review of group some movies together, like maybe do a review of like the phase 1 movies and then phase 2 and whatever. We'll see. That's a pretty tall order though, so that's going to be quite a ways down the road if in fact it does happen. But yeah, I mean, I like Netflix. It was the first streaming service that I signed up for, so I think just for longevity's sake, I'll probably stick with it for a little while longer. But yeah, I mean, if they continue to lose content and raise their prices, I mean, I might be tempted to switch as well. But it's too bad though, because I do feel like, there's a lot of good shows on Netflix that I do enjoy watching. It's just too bad that a lot of them are leaving. Like I think now, what is it? Schitt's Creek, I think, is going to Hulu. I thought I saw that today, that they're leaving the streaming service. So yeah, that's too bad. I'm kind of surprised Better Call Saul is still on there. I don't know if Netflix has some kind of deal or arrangement with AMC, but I'm almost done with that show. I'm on season 5, so I'm getting ready to finish that up so I can try to get caught up and watch the new season, even though I kind of know some big shit that happens in that season, but that's a story for another time. But yeah, hopefully they can bounce back. I know I've heard some people say that they think that Netflix losing all these subscribers could be kind of a way of them equaling out because of how much subscriptions went up during the pandemic, because of course a lot of people were stuck at home, so the need for streaming services as kind of an escape went up pretty significantly. A lot more people were signing up for Hulu, Netflix, and things like that. So now that we're kind of returning to at least some kind of normalcy, some people have made the argument that maybe this is just this was inevitable, that people were going to kind of lose interest again. So we'll see. Time will tell. But yeah, for my money, I mean, I still enjoy Netflix. There's still a few shows in there that I like, so I'll probably stick with it at least for the time being. But I'm definitely on the fence, though. But I think regardless, I'm definitely going to jump on a few other streaming services, like I said before, Amazon Prime, and I've thought about HBO again. I had that for a while. Actually, it's funny. I got HBO Max back when the new Suicide Squad came out, and I got it just for that. But I think I might also try to check out The Sopranos on there too. That's a show that I've been really wanting to watch for a long time, and this might be the excuse that I need to do it. So, all right, guys. I don't really have a whole lot else to talk about. This is probably going to be one of the shorter episodes that I've had in a while. But once again, I am on Facebook, Twitter, so follow me on there, and I'm also on Anchor, Spotify, and YouTube. All right, guys. I'll catch you all next time.